And we did trigger a hold right at startup there. You saw we got a hold on the booster. So stick with us for a second.
Go.
So we did trigger a hold on the booster that aborted our liftoff as we were starting to light those Raptor engines. As a reminder, since we already turned the diverter on, we are going to be scrubbed for the day. The team's already starting to pull for offload of both vehicles, so starting to get the prop off. We'll take a little bit of time to look into what triggered that abort. Usually we'll take some data review for all of our teams. But again, we did abort on the startup of the booster. So we weren't tracking any holds moving in to those final seconds into that final minute. But that is going to be a scrub for the day. So the team's now moving into commodity offload. We're going to take the methane and the oxygen off of both Starship and Super Heavy. So not the end result you're looking for, but we've got vehicle there still on the pad, and they're going to get these commodities offloaded. We'll take some time, dig into what triggered that abort once the booster was igniting to launch, and then we'll figure out what our path forward is going to be. Again, if you're just jumping in, we're not going to be launching today. We got all the way down to startup, triggered a hold on the booster, and that shut down the engines right as they were starting to ignite. All right, so at this point, they're going to get into offload. We're going to get all the methane, all the oxygen off the vehicle, and then we'll figure out next steps. So, no Starship launch today. We'll dig in with the teams, figure out what happened, and figure out when our next attempt is going to be. And obviously, we're going to keep you updated as well. So we'll dig into what our recycle time is, when we're going to be able to try again. Be sure to follow us on X at SpaceX. We're going to share updates there as soon as more information becomes available and when we can get back for flying. So thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully, we'll be back real soon for Flight 13 and another attempt to get Starship off the pad. Thanks, everybody. First things first, Flight 13.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The future is built on progressive steps like today's test. Now, let's dive into the flight profile.
Right, so today we'll be starting with liftoff of Pad 2 here at Starbase. Super Heavy will ignite those 33 Raptor 3 engines, and we will then power through ascent ahead of our hot stage separation, which is when the booster will shut down all but 5 engines at the bottom. Stage 2 will then light its own Raptor engines, pushing off of Super Heavy and starting that hot stage separation. We will then have the directional booster flip, with Super Heavy igniting those 33 Raptor engines. And after coasting for a few minutes, the booster will then target a landing burn and splash down a few miles off the coast of Starbase.
Ship keeps the fun going with its ascent burn to a suborbital trajectory. We then deploy those 20 Starlink V3 satellites, and we plan to relight a single Raptor engine. Re-entry then follows a few minutes later, which should provide some amazing views via Starlink of the ship's blistering re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere. A plasma blanket will form around the vehicle, and this never fails to provide epic scenes as the vehicle comes back. And lastly, we'll conclude today's test with a landing flip, landing burn, and a splashdown in the Indian Ocean. And with that, let's kick it back up to Dan for a countdown update.